What's going on? Happy Monday to you as we get set for another episode of Out of the Gate here. Another week of live racing, 3 days of live racing this week, and then vacation time. Well, we're going to have to take a break. 2-week break here during the month of August. We'll be back on August 22nd. Let's take a look at some of the winners from last week, though, as we kick off today's show. No Parks playback, whole thing with the dentist and an appointment, the whole thing. Don't worry about it. But we got the results there for the week of July 25th to the 27th. You can check it out on Facebook, also on Instagram, Parks_Racing. You always see the jockeys who got the wins, the trainers, and then the horses from those post positions as well. So keeping an eye on that, and that always has kind of gives you a good gauge on what post positions were very strong going into the next week of racing. Usually it seems like more towards the outside, that middle area. The rail's been okay. We'll see if that continues to trend that direction here this week. Taking a look at August 22nd, talked about that August break. We're going to take an August break right after right after the 3 days of racing this week on Wednesday. Then we take our break from the 4th to the 21st. We're back on Monday, August 22nd. PA Day at the races. You got the Banjo Picker, the Marshall Jenny, Mrs. Penny, the Storm Cat, and the Dr. Teresa Garofalo Memorial. You got the Whistle Pig and the Miss Blue Tie-Dye, both 2-year-old stakes races for the PA breds, sired by Pennsylvania sires as well. So that's kind of the interesting twist there too. Really encourage the breeding program here in Pennsylvania. So today's show is going to be a little different as we've got a preview from some of the nominees that were nominated for those stakes races, looking at PA Day at the races and some horses that you know very well. We got a chance to catch up with some of the connections. So let's kick things off here with hard-knocking sprinter. He's been doing it for a while. The Pennsylvania bred, he can do it on turf, he can do it on dirt. Let's hear Bobby Mosco talk about Admiral Abe.
Him for 2. I out-nominated him for the Banjo Picker, which is 3/4, and the Marshall Jenny, which is 5/8 on the grass, which he won last year off the grass. The problem with him is no conditions. I can't get him in anywhere. So actually, just before we spoke, I entered him in the Wolf Hill at Monmouth. So hopefully this Saturday he'll be running there. That'll be his prep. Depends on the distance with him. You know, he ran real well in the Turf Monster last year, but no Lasix is a problem for him. Tremendous. He really is. I mean, he's just been coming like today, coming off the track, like Adrian's like he's out of his mind.
Admiral Abe, we were talking about that race on that Saturday at Monmouth Park. He actually ran 3rd in that effort, so we'll see if Admiral Abe does come right back and gets in the gate there for PA Day at the races. Barron has had a fantastic season as well. That's a horse that's really keyed up. He just won a stakes race in Maryland, and now he's going to come back here towards Pennsylvania and look at some of the races here at Parks. Butch Reed was away, so we got a chance to catch up with assistant trainer Amanda Eichfeld, and this is what she had to say about Barron.
When he sprints, the way that he came out of all 3 of his last stake races, I mean, he really shocked the world, to say the least. He, that second here for his first time back off the layoff was huge. Not even like he did anything. He has been training like a beast. He's very mellow in his stall. He's probably the only colt I know that you can go in and hug him and snuggle him, and he does not care. Even during the race, when he's in the paddock, he just stands there like he's half asleep. When those gates open, he'll give you a minute of his time, and that's it.
For the Love of Bourbon has been another hard-knocking sprinter, Pennsylvania bred right here at Parks. He's been lights out. We got a chance to catch up with trainer Michael Pino. Maybe he squares off against Barron. That would be a nice rematch as they faced off to kick the year off earlier this season. And Michael Pino had a chance to let us catch up and see this really good sprinter for the Love of Bourbon.
Well, I nominated him just in case they weren't on the grass. So I had another option, but more or less, more likely to be the Banjo Picker. Well, there's always room for improvement, but you know, I can't. You know, he's running his eyeballs out, so I'm enjoying that, and run some bang-up races. Then he consular, we give him time off, and he's coming back to his old self. So maybe it is a sign that he's getting better and better. More than likely 6 to 7. 5 might be too much of a pace, but. I mean, he's getting 7 pretty good, and without rushing him, he'll lay where you want, and we can get that same race we did last time. We should be fine. Well, at this point, it's a toss-up between Kendrick and Paco. I got to talk to the owner. Paco rode him well. I mean, he took him off the pace a little bit, and Kendrick rides him great too. So it's a little toss-up at the point right now. He's happy. He's good time-wise. It fits, and Lord willing, everything goes right, we'll be there.
After that last race on Wednesday, I think we're all going to be rocking out just like that TV crew, myself, out of here as we get into our 2-week August break here at Parks. Hey, we got a big day of racing coming up on September 24th. We're going to talk more about PA Day at the races, but let's talk a little bit about the Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby.
This year, Parks Racing is proud to announce the 2022 Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby is now the Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby. Join us on Saturday, September 24th for all the graded stakes action. 10 stakes races total, including 5 graded stakes races. The free hat giveaway and fun for the whole family. Where parking and admission are always free. Highlighted by the Grade 1 Cotillion Stakes and the Grade 1 Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby. Gates open at 11 a.m. First post time is 12:05. Join us on Saturday, September 24th for the biggest day of racing in Pennsylvania.
There's going to be a couple races there on Pennsylvania Derby Day, Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby Day, that are going to be for the PA breds, and these are a couple horses that aren't going to be qualifying for those 2-year-old races, but we got a chance to catch up with the Uptown Charlie Brown crew. That's right, Ed Coletti Jr., you're going to hear him a few times during today's episode. He's going to talk first about center mid Maddie, and then we caught up with trainer Kate Demacia. She's got a really good sprinter. Maybe she stays one turn when she talked about Golden Tabby. Let's take a look.
I think there's enough speed in there. It could set up well for him depending on who's going in there. Like, for example, For the Dreamers and Maddie, they've got 2 different styles of running. I think For the Dreamers showed he can come off the pace the other day, and Maddie's a more, up close speed horse. So I don't have a problem doing it that way. If they both had the same kind of style, tactical style of running, then I would kind of be more concerned. But if they have 2 different styles, I don't really worry. Once they get older, I don't like to really work the older horses against each other as much. Just the babies. He's actually gotten better. He didn't run that good at Monmouth, but I think it was just chasing that horse, and Mikey Moore's was just too fast. And I'm not sure if he really liked the grass. I thought he would with his breeding, but we're going to get him back on the dirt. Yeah, he come out of the race awesome, happy, and he's training really well.
Since she's been put on Lasix, it's really helped her a lot. She showed so much determination when she ran up at Penn National, and it was a really quick turn back to run her back here, but we took advantage of that, and she ran super. And she's just been the little engine that could. She's not a really big, robust kind of filly, and she puts 110% into everything she does. So I was kind of hoping to get an extra week into her, but when the race came up, I kind of had to take advantage of it. Well, I tell you what, she's always been sort of go to the front and try to catch me if you can, and that was an impressive race to me because she came back dirt all over, and her little head just like, here I go, I'm digging in. So she really impressed me that day.
2 of the most impressive performances we've seen so far just in the last couple of months have come from Gunfire Gal for trainer John Service, and also For the Dreamers, once again for trainer Ed Coletti Jr. And we got a chance to catch up with both of them. They've got some options on where they can run these really good racehorses right now. So let's hear what they had to say about Gunfire Gal and For the Dreamers.
She's a nice filly. She's a real nice filly. She's training great. We're looking toward one of those races on the 22nd. Not sure which one. Maybe the Catherine Sophia. I think she'll stretch out with no problem. She's really learned to settle, which was a big thing with her. So I think the distance really won't be an issue. She's shown talent even at the farm before she ever came here. The big thing with her is getting her mind right, because she just wanted to go. She wanted to jump into the bit and just go, and she's learned to settle now. And before I didn't think she'd stretch out, but now with mentally the way she's doing, I think she'll handle it with no problem. Yeah, she's training really good. I'm going to put a real stiff work into her Wednesday before we close down, and go from there.
The banjo picker, more than likely he'll be going in there. He's come out of the race well, and we'll have enough time in between to get him to the banjo picker. I thought it was a great effort. I wasn't expecting him to break the way he did. I thought he would have been close to the pace, but once he broke slow, Anthony did a good job. He rated him real kind. He didn't like the dirt in his face. He was trying to get out. But then once Anthony got him clear, man, he just come rolling down the stretch. Yep, yeah, they show you that they're a racehorse that way. They don't need everything one-dimensional or everything their way. They can, come from back. They can do whatever they need to do to get the victory. So.
Talk about some of the wagering action here on this Monday afternoon. The Philly Big Five, of course, we got that big carryover jackpot. It's now approaching $200,000, $197,002.78. It's a jackpot bet, as you always know. It's always the last 5 races of the day. It's going to start in race number 6 on this Monday afternoon program. We got 10 races. We got quite a few races tomorrow and Wednesday as well. So looking forward to those sequences. It's a jackpot bet. Just keep that in mind. You got to be a single ticket winner in order to take down that entire jackpot. The Uptown Charlie Brown crew, again, we're going to go right back to them. I mean, they got a ton of Pennsylvania bred, so it's not surprising, but one horse that's had a really good run has been Keith Sends Hello, obviously named for former track announcer Keith Jones right here at Parks, and Bob Hutt and his entire team, they wanted to name a horse after Keith Jones, and they've named a pretty nice 2-year-old that should be pointing to some of those 2-year-old stakes races, not only on Pennsylvania Day at the races, but also at the Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby. And there's one other horse that we're going to cover in this video. My director is going to tell me who that is right now, and that's going to be Uptown Amanda, also by Uptown Charlie Brown, but for different connections, and she was extremely impressive in her debut effort. And so we got a chance to talk to one more time, hope you're not sick of him yet, Ed Coletti Jr., and then we got a chance to catch up with Scott Lake, as he's got a really good 2-year-old filly in Uptown Amanda. Here's what they had to say.
Hey, you know, he tries hard. He has run a little bit more than I like to run a 2-year-old, but you know, those quarter-mile races were like workouts. They weren't really, you know, they weren't really hard races. So I don't think he's knocked out from the racing he's done, and we have enough time now from yesterday until the stake to really set him, relax, and get him set up for the stake.
Is he just?
I think his ideal distance will be 7 furlongs, like he said, 6.5. You know, these short races are a little bit tough on the Charlies because they don't really have that quick half-mile speed, and that's why they're always the bridesmaid and never the bride. But mentally, he'll be ready to go, and you know, you run against them PA-bred sires, it's a little bit easier. That filly yesterday was just a freak. I mean, she just run out the screen on us. So yeah, he's fit enough. He's definitely doesn't need any like overexerting workouts or anything. Just maintain the training, maintain the breezes, and you know, he'll be fine. He looks like he bounced back good from yesterday's race and should be ready to go.
The Miss Blue Tie-Dye. She's been a push-button horse since she's gotten in here. I mean, just the easiest 2-year-old I've ever had to get ready. I mean, that's definitely a spot we're focusing on. I mean, we're pointing to that, and I mean, got high expectations with the way she ran the first time. Just never had a 2-year-old filly with as much class and ease as she's done it so far. So.
You heard trainer Ed Coletti Jr. talking about Florida Sombra, talking about the filly that finished in front of Keith Sends Hello. Yeah, he has been running into some fields where there's just been some really, really good racehorses in there. We got to get a chance to catch up with trainer Guadalupe Preciado. We'll probably do that maybe during the break or something like that, as we have some time before August 22nd, because she's going to be a 2-year-old filly that, you know, depending on where she ends up running, I mean, she's ultra impressive on her debut. We'll see where she continues to go. But you take her, you kind of stack her up against Uptown Amanda. Could be a very interesting race for the 2-year-old fillies, looking at PA Day at the races on August 22nd. And then again, don't forget, PA-bred, PA sire, that's going to lead right into September 24th, the Bet Parks Pennsylvania Derby, where that should be a jam-packed card with all kinds of great stakes races and just plenty of opportunities there for some big money as well. So looking forward to some matchups in the future. We'll see. Make sure you guys follow along all season long, but especially during the break, just make sure you're prepared for PA Day at the races. We got 2 more horses to take a look at. Another impressive maiden winner in 90% Maddie, and it's kind of interesting when we talked to assistant trainer Amanda Eichfeld about how the horse got his name. You know, he's 90% Maddie, you would think a filly, but it's actually a colt. And then also we got a chance to catch up with trainer John Service one more time. Precious, who had a really big season last year, kind of had some spotty form coming into this year, and he ended up telling us why and just kind of how she's coming back into the races here on August 22nd. So here is a bit more from the connections talking about these 2 nice PA breds.
He's 90% Bryn's brother, yep. And he was originally 90% Ryan. The owners were pregnant, and they thought that they were going to have a boy, and then they wound up having a girl named her Maddie, so he is now 90% Maddie, but he knew he could do it. I wanted it to be longer, being 4.5. I was really kind of eerie about it because I knew he wants to go long. He wants to really stretch his legs, but when he won, I was by a nose, by, a little nose. I cried. He's doing really well. He goes out there, he'll be as happy as anything, and he's really starting to form into something special. He's the class clown of the barn, for sure. He'll make it known that he's here, and he will holler down the shed row if he sees somebody that might have a cookie or is potential to getting some love. When he comes back to the barn from the track, he will hunt me down and stop in the middle of the shed row just to get a cookie.
We're probably going to be running the sprint. I'm sure we'll have to run against Chubb Wagon, but I entered her yesterday in an open allowance, hopefully to get a prep in her before that, and the race didn't go. So we'll train her up to it and point for the Garofalo. Last year, she had a really good year. This year, she's been a little harder on herself, and we have some issues that we had to address, but she's training good now. We kind of pointed for these races coming up. There's a couple other PA races late through the year that we'll look at, but with her, it's just one race at a time.
Big shout out to all the connections, all the horses, all the crews back there that let us jump back there and get some of that footage. Thanks again to the best TV crew in the business for editing that, putting it all together. We'll have all of that great stuff coming back on Monday, August 22nd as well for Pennsylvania Day at the Races. There's still some late nominations that are going to be coming in as well. So I think you're going to continue to see these fields get really stacked and be very nice for that Monday, August 22nd. So we'll have the 3 days this week. We take our 2-week break. We come back in a big way. You got the $100,000 Banjo Picker Sprint. It's going to be for 3-year-olds and upward at 6 furlongs. You saw some of the horses that could be nominated, maybe pointed to those spots. The $100,000 Marshall Jenny Handicap, 5 furlongs on the turf course. Been off the turf the last couple weeks. Gets another couple weeks break here coming back into August 22nd, so should be looking at a nice turf course when we come back. Then you got a 1/16 on the turf in the Mrs. Penny Stakes at $100,000. That's for the fillies and mares. The Stormcat Stakes is going to be a real interesting one because I do think that you're going to have quite a few of these Pennsylvania breds that are going to be coming from different barns that have seen that 1:70, maybe some horses trying to step up in class and taking that big next step forward at $100,000. And then the Garofalo, you talk about 6 furlong sprinting for fillies and mares, 3-year-old and upward. So you got 5 $100,000 stakes races. We already know that. But then we talk about those 2-year-old races, the Whistle Pig Stakes, the Miss Blue Tie-Dye Stakes. You've seen some of these maiden efforts that we've seen, some of these PA breds by the PA sires that would qualify for these stakes races. They got the $100,000 stakes races on Monday, August 22nd. And that's going to lead right into our even bigger stakes races, which will be on September 24th. Can't talk about that enough for Bet Park's Pennsylvania Derby and Cotillion Day. So really looking forward to some of those two-year-old races. You heard some of the connections, it's new to them as well. So they're trying it for the first time. So we'll see how the horses react and how the connections point to those big races. As we always do on the show, we got to look back at one of the big performances last week. So let's take a look at our performance of the week. JD's Vista, they knew it all along, right? Herold Whylie just walking in the winner's circle there, like just how he drew it up, really lifting late there and just getting that head down at the line and getting the victory for those connections. Dexter Haddock continues his winning ways there, and he's been on a roll here, so we'll see if that continues this week. Time for me to get out of here, not only for this week, but for a couple weeks. I know you'll miss us. We'll be back in a couple weeks. After the August break, we'll be back on August 22nd. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media. Hit us up on Twitter, @Parks Racing, @In the Grandstand. YouTube, hit that subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Parks_Racing. Make sure you hit that subscribe on YouTube. I'm out of here. We got some great racing action coming up, and join us on Monday, August 22nd for Pennsylvania Day at the Races.